deal with these people. They're impositors. You can't allow somebody to pretend to be who they are not, and lying even before oath what they are not. But you know what? The impunity and immunity betrays the author and the host of this ghost.
He seems to be winning now because, by and large, recalls might be happening. There'll be by-elections. Where will you stand?
It doesn't matter. They can recall MPs a million times. You can't stop an idea whose time has come. If anything, they are losing. Because you don't have that kind of behavior from people who are winning. It shows how desperate they are. In fact, the problem is not on our side. The problem is on the perpetrator, the rocket launcher. We don't engage the rockets or the missiles. We go to the missiles launcher. We go to the rocket launcher. Mr. Mnangagwa is the one who is launching all these rockets. So our busy schedule cannot be wasted, by engaging missiles that are being thrown at us. I can tell you that they will lose and they will fail. They will not win against the people of Zimbabwe. And I always say God is in it. It's not a claim, it's not a slogan, but it's a statement of the faith and conviction we have that you can't stop an idea whose time has come. So yes, they may try to clutch on straws, but they are sinking.
All right, breaking news, guys. Not good news at all. So ZimLive reported this morning that the High Court has thrown out an application by 14 CCC MPs and 9 senators to be reinstated in Parliament following the recalls by Sengezo Tshabangu, who says he is the party's interim Secretary General. It has been dismissed. Tshabangu's attorney, Nqobani Sithole, reported. But don't forget is that he actually said, that was 2 days ago, that definitely they're going to win the case. So he was very sure because the script, we all can see the footprints of the regime all over Tshabangu. His statements, the way he speaks, that they took their time trying to literally sabotage the destiny of many Zimbabweans. For me, I'm like, it's the time that we are wasting currently. It's the time that is more important. But Promise Nkwananzi tweeted, he said, there is no further doubt about the compromised state of our judiciary. The judiciary had the opportunity to vindicate themselves, to extricate themselves from the jaws of capture, to prove that they are a credible cause to remedy, that even the opposition can turn to them for recourse. They failed. SADC News must now act knowing full well that the supposed domestic remedies in Zimbabwe are incapable of acting independently, impartially, and fairly. The situation in Zimbabwe requires SADC News to exercise its steady hands to soft pedal the imminent crisis that threatens to rupture into adversely affect the region and the regional body's credibility. Short of a fresh, free, fair election, SADC News must strive to ensure that an amicable political settlement is established with a view to ensure that Zimbabwe will never again end up with a disputed election, a legitimacy crisis, and general stagnation. As you meet today, the onus is upon you, esteemed sirs and ma'ams. I completely agree. It's time that SADC has to play their part. Honestly, our time is running out. The toxicity has been going on for too long. And whatever the regime is trying to do to acquire two-thirds majority, let them do it, but it will come in with a cost. You heard what Nelson Chamisa said. Everything that you do with impunity is simply you digging your own grave. I know we are hyped by politics. We think it's about politics. It's not. It's really a battle against our destinies, a battle against the glorious destiny that the Lord has already made available for all our Zimbabweans, but the enemy is at work 24/7. But there was someone who literally spoke at his specs this morning, and he was talking about how we allowed the coup to take over. In the moment we sanitize the coup, we immediately enroll ourselves into the commands and abuse of the state. Take a listen, please.
So we must not really play around with people's emotions. That we try to say we are building democratic movements to challenge the regime within the ambit of the law. It cannot work because they will abuse the law. They can take any person from the street and make them appoint themselves to rule over any political party. And the courts are going to rubber stamp that. So it is now up to the likes of Chamisa to come out and say, we erred in shielding the coup. What we as citizens do not really know or understand is to what extent were people rubber stamping the coup? Was it because this was something that was planned ahead? Because we know for a fact the death of Morgan Tsvangirai or his near death was somehow choreographed to go along with the coup. In other words, they were saying, once we see that Morgan Tsvangirai is not very strong, we can go ahead, because they knew that Tsvangirai would not stand for being used for a coup, then live to see it. He would have been fighting in the street. He would have been calling the people to say, I am going to lead you against this military regime. He would have made enough noise that the SADC summits that we hear about, they would have had no choice but to come out and say, government of Zimbabwe, what you did, we don't stand for it as SADC. But currently what we have is people who are now looking at it to say, if we say Zimbabwe is now an outright military dictatorship, we are going to have to retrace our footsteps and say we erred in standing behind this thing. What we endorsed initially as having been done above board through parliament process was actually a sham that was done because we had been promised that we are moving into a new dispensation. This is what hoodwinked the opposition into rallying behind the coup. If it is indeed that people within the movement for change, which is MDC or whatever we call it now, if it is that they were participants in ensuring that the military regime takes over, then they need to look themselves in the mirror. We can post as many verses as we want, but we need to also look and ask to say the things that were done, how does God see those things? You can claim to say, I'm on the side of God and God is in it. But look, if God doesn't show up when you say he's in it twice, then you need to reflect and say, God, why are you not showing up if you are saying you are in it? Where did I go wrong? Where did I overstep so that I can correct those steps? As a nation, this is where we find ourselves. The judges are going to maybe exercise impartiality when dealing with minor issues. Maybe you have fought with your neighbor, or maybe you are arguing with your wife and you decide to divorce. But if it's even a political divorce, like we see, for example, the divorce of Chiwenga and his wife, the judges are also going to take a cue from the state in terms of what they must do, how they must act. This is where we find ourselves as a nation, and we are very vulnerable. The opposition must come clean and say, we cannot operate in this environment. It is something we created. We own up to it. We need a cure for the coup and the environment it has created. Otherwise, we are wasting people's time and wasting people's lives as we pretend that we are moving forward. Yet we are not. We are in a military dictatorship. The executive is directing what must happen at parliament, at judiciary level. There's no more separation of power to talk about.
I don't really know if I can completely agree with him. One thing that I can say about Zimbabwe is that it's just a nation that is being controlled by evil, because there's no normal person on earth who will literally treat a human the way Zimbabweans are being treated, who can hold people at ransom for such a long time the way Zimbabweans are. We must all be honest with one another and stop blaming our politicians who are actually trying to make Zimbabwe a better place. And I do understand that Triple C has got advocates, qualified advocates, but honestly, if Zimbabwe was a normal country under normal circumstances, what we are going through today wouldn't be there. So we should never try to attack innocent people who are also really in search of a better country, and begin to focus on the evil that is taken over its place. And we allow the wicked to keep abusing our lives. So this is all I have for you right now. Please, guys, we are going to be live at exactly 12 midday. Come through. Let's have a conversation. Let's discuss about this. It's very, very crucial that we have to keep speaking up and also pass our comments on the things that are going down in Zimbabwe right now. Thank you so much for sticking around. We've had fun, and I'm asking you guys to subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you ring the bell, and see you guys in my next upload. I love you all. Bless you.